not live in Mumbai. All the other characters up until then were Mumbaikars, even in theatre. So I had to go to Delhi and sell to the audience that this guy comes from this ilaka in Delhi. And that was tough. Really, really tough, because I was tough on myself. So yes, that's a very, very definitive character in my journey. But I will always be grateful to Three Idiots and Munna Bhai, and Lagero Munna Bhai also.
Yes.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
You are watching the World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. An action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top headlines you need to know. The United States and India are intensifying negotiations on a bilateral trade agreement, with officials from both sides meeting in New Delhi this week to finalize the first phase of the proposed deal. Tesla shares have plunged as an increasingly bitter spat between CEO Elon Musk and US President Donald Trump erupts in public, with Mr. Trump suggesting the federal government could strip Musk's companies of their federal contracts. Musk, meanwhile, suggests Trump should be impeached and that JD Vance should replace him. And now, in a flip-flop, US President Donald Trump says, and I quote, "We want to have foreign students come," though he signed an executive order on Wednesday night to block nearly all such students from coming to study at Harvard. Donald Trump has said he will visit China after speaking to its leader Xi Jinping over the phone. The US president said he had reciprocated with an invite to the White House during the very good talk, though such a trip has not been confirmed by both sides. In the United States, Shashi Tharoor's son grills him on Pakistan's role in the Pahalgam terror attack. The Congress MP gives 3 reasons. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is secretly holding direct talks with the US President Donald Trump to work out a framework for a trade and security agreement, as per local media. Our big focus? Well, India will not withdraw its World Trade Organization complaints against US tariffs on steel, aluminium and automobiles unless the dispute is resolved, even as negotiating teams from both sides began intensive talks in New Delhi to finalize an early bilateral trade deal as per reports. In fact, a team led by Assistant US Trade Representative Brendan Lynch arrived in New Delhi late on Wednesday for discussions with the Ministry of Commerce team that began on Thursday. The talks are scheduled for 2 days of engagements as both countries are working towards an announcement on an early portion of the bilateral trade agreement, potentially this month itself. The negotiations, though, you must note, they come against a critical July 9th deadline when an additional 16% reciprocal tariff on Indian goods is set to take effect, adding urgency to the bilateral talks, as you can imagine. Himanshu Shekhar has been tracking all the finer developments. He joins us live with a quick update at the moment. So the parallel dispute at the World Trade Organization, it's expected to not interfere with the current BTA negotiations, right? Please take us through the key takeaways.
That's right, and that's exactly the statement that Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has made in Italy, where he has said that very categorically that the talks are progressing very well. In fact, senior officials have told me that both India and the United States are seeking some kind of an interim deal ahead of the proposed first tranche of bilateral trade agreement by September, October this year. And of course, there is a deadline. As you remember, President Trump had paused the imposition of reciprocal tariffs till 9 July. So India and the US officials are now talking about an interim deal ahead of the July 9th deadline to ensure that Indian goods, the imposition of 26% reciprocal tariff by the Trump administration on Indian goods, that can be avoided. And that in that context, I think Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal's statement is very, very significant that the talks are progressing well. First set of officials arrived in India yesterday. Some more officials are expected to arrive today. And this is perhaps the fifth round of talks between the officials of India and the United States, who are constantly working to finalize the first tranche of the proposed bilateral trade agreement by September this year. And as you know, when Prime Minister Modi had met US President Donald Trump in February this year, there was a timeline that was decided, and the effort now is to adhere to this timeline and ensure that before the deadlines that I just mentioned, the progress is achieved. But there are some issues on which there are still differences. As you also mentioned about WTO, I have learned from sources that there are issues related with tariff on farm sector, for instance, the point that a US President has repeatedly made on the automobile, for instance. So there are sectors on which there are still discussions going on. But as I said, both India and the United States are seeking an interim deal ahead of the July 9th deadline, after which perhaps the reciprocal tariff that was imposed on goods coming to US from India will be activated. And at the moment they have been paused. So India is trying hard to ensure, to convince US for an interim deal ahead of this deadline.
As always, Himanshu, thank you so much for breaking down the details for us. Well, US President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, their feud is now out in the open as disagreements over Republican spending bill quickly turns personal. The implosion of the year's most consequential political alliance stemmed from Musk's repeated criticism of the Trump-backed package, and the breakup, well, it threatens to spill over into other arenas, as you can imagine. Trump has threatened to cut government contracts and subsidies for the tech mogul's businesses, which include SpaceX and Tesla. And Musk has said that Trump wouldn't have won the White House without his support and responded a yes to a post suggesting that the president should be impeached. Tesla shares, meanwhile, went into free fall as Donald Trump publicly feuded with the electric vehicle maker's billionaire CEO, his self-proclaimed first buddy, and investors, as we speak, are watching the unfolding drama with growing worry about what the fracas could mean for Musk's business empire. Nick Harper has the inside details from Washington, D.C., but first, listen in to Donald Trump's remarks.
Well, look, you know, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, the words of, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Well, a very public bromance breakup playing out on social media during the course of the day here in Washington, D.C., during which we've seen both Donald Trump and Elon Musk throw around insults, threats, accusations, all of them on their respective social media sites. It started earlier in the day on Thursday when Donald Trump in the Oval Office was asked about Elon Musk, who he has of course been working very closely with during his first 4 or so months in office. But Donald Trump said that his relationship with him seems now to have changed. That after Elon Musk criticised his signature legislation that he's trying to push through Congress, a massive spending bill that would involve tax cuts as well. But Elon Musk says that it is an abomination, that it would undo much of the cost-cutting work that he did when he was heading up the Department of Government Efficiency. There is a suggestion from a non-partisan group that Donald Trump's legislation would add more than $2.4 trillion of US debt over the next 10 years. And then during the course of the day, we just saw all of this escalate, going from bad to worse to even worse. Donald Trump on social media saying that Elon Musk was crazy, with Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump would not have won the election without him, and saying that the president was showing such ingratitude now. And then things seemed to amp up a notch when Donald Trump suggested that he would cancel all of the government contracts that are currently in place for Elon Musk's companies. And the thinking is that if that were to happen, Elon Musk would lose somewhere in the region of $38 billion, an enormous hole in his balance sheet if that were to happen, involving a whole range of contracts in automotive, in space and in defence sectors. Elon Musk, in return, has suggested that he will decommission SpaceX's Dragon capsule. Now, this is the only way that US astronauts can get to and from the International Space Station. Without that capsule, it'll be very tough for the space program to continue. There was also a suggestion from Elon Musk that there should be a third political party being created in the United States, a way to get around what he sees as the problems in Donald Trump's Republican Party. Elon Musk posted to X a poll in which he's asking people to vote. Millions of people have already voted. That poll will end sometime on Friday. It's unlikely to lead to the creation of a third political party, but shows very much that that relationship between the two men seems to have ended, and ended in quite spectacular fashion. It's unclear exactly how much further this spat will go, but there are potentially some massive implications at play here. Nick Harper, NDTV, Washington.
Well, it started with taxes, tariffs, and a budget bill, but it quickly spiraled into blackmail, black eyes, and the shadow of Jeffrey Epstein. This is no ordinary political spat. This is Elon Musk versus Donald Trump, a bromance gone ballistic. It was the bromance that actually launched a political juggernaut. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, pumped hundreds of millions into Donald Trump's re-election. Trump returned the favor, as you know, by handing Musk a flashy, made-up government role and unlimited political goodwill. But now, it's war. On social media, Musk is publicly accusing Trump of betrayal. Trump, never one to hold back, fired back, saying Elon's got Trump derangement syndrome, and even threatened to cancel his EV contracts. But beneath the insults is something deeper. What really triggered this big, beautiful breakup? It's the big, beautiful bill. Trump's signature economic plan that slashed welfare, boosts defense, and kills electric vehicle subsidies. So you see, Musk's empire could take a serious financial hit. And this isn't just about American politics. For India too, we should watch closely, because if Trump wins his way, clean energy giants like Tesla could lose momentum. India's EV ambitions, its solar push, and global tech deals, all of it could get entangled in this mega fallout. So from bromance to blow up, Trump and Musk's big, beautiful breakup isn't just a clash of egos. It seems like a power struggle with global stakes. The question now is, when two giants fall out, who pays the price? Well, the US president has also suggested Elon Musk has Trump derangement syndrome. We have that remark lined up for you. Listen in.
A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know.
And for an expert stake, we have with us James Bowden on NDTV. James, always a pleasure to chat with you. Is this feud proof that Trump's political alliances are purely transactional and disposable once questioned?
I think to a degree, yes, but I think the ultimate key to understanding this entire process is really looking at Elon Musk. Very few people have ever talked about the fact that he suffers from Asperger's. He is on the autism spectrum. And so Asperger's people tend to be very hot and very cold. So they are either incredibly for you or incredibly against you. And that can change very rapidly. And so I think a lot of this feud has to do with the fact that Elon probably believed that he was going to have a continued role somewhere in government after the Doge period expired, and that without that, and also looking at some of the elements in the bill, he just decided to quickly go nuclear on Trump. Again, very much driven by this personality crisis. So I'm not really that surprised.
Meanwhile, James, Trump's actually threatening to kill EV subsidies and government contracts. Does this look like a president using public policy for personal revenge?
I definitely believe so. And this is why it was a very incredible conflict of interest to have Elon Musk, who was receiving all of these contracts, to be in such a position. Because as we see, with a personal fallout, with a removal of a job, now we have a lot of things at stake. Dragon X, the capsule, was one of our primary ways to get to the International Space Station. This is something that we have long needed in order to get around having rides with the Russians, because NASA can't get its rockets off. And
right.
So we desperately need this.
Meanwhile, James, as we wrap, I want to know your opinion. Who loses more in the long run? Trump, whose base may fracture, or Elon Musk, whose empire is so heavily exposed to government money?
I think they really both lose. I don't think that anybody is really coming out more presidential or more high personality or profile through this. I think that both leaders will suffer. We've watched as Tesla has tanked both by the Republicans and the Democrats because they didn't want to support Elon and his efforts in the government, but now Republicans because he's feuding with the dear leader of Trump. So, and Trump is looking a little petty as well. And with, the canceling of the contract, it continues to send out a lot of negative signals to the world that to deal with Trump is to deal with a very unstable element that cannot be trusted.
Well, James, thank you so much, as always, for sharing your views. We will, of course, keep in touch with you for regular updates as and when we hear from both the billionaires.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in a flip-flop, the US President Donald Trump has said, and I quote, "We want to have foreign students come," though he signed an executive order on Wednesday night to block nearly all such students from coming to study at Harvard. Listen in to what the US President has just said.
Did you talk about the Chinese students? Are you allowing them to come to the US?
Chinese students are coming. No problem. No problem.
Okay,
It's our honor to have them, frankly. Look, we want to have foreign students, but we want them to be checked. In the case of Harvard and Columbia and others, all we want to do is see their list. There's no problem with that. This is anybody outside of our country, international students, because when we see some of the people that we've been watching, we say, where do these people come from? How is that possible? No, we want to have foreign students come. We're very honored by it, but we want to see their list. Harvard didn't want to give us the list. They're going to be giving us the list now.
For further clarity on the matter, joining us, Dexter Roberts at the moment. Mr. Roberts, thank you so much for making time for us on NDTV. Now, on one hand, Trump says he's honored to host foreign students, as we've just heard, including Chinese students. But on the other, he's issuing visa bans, threatening Ivy League tax breaks. So what kind of message is this sending to global markets and also multinational education brands?
Well, I think it's clearly not a consistent message. It seems to have been a hallmark of the Trump administration since it took office January 20th to issue lots of policies, sometimes conflicting ones, and move very rapidly in trying to develop various international relations and also trade relations. So I think we're seeing more of that now. In the case with China, it suggests to me that the statement last week from Secretary of State Marco Rubio that they would aggressively, quote, aggressively revoke Chinese student visas might have been in part a negotiating ploy to try to reach a better deal with China on this broader trade deal. And what we've heard from Trump today after the meeting with Xi Jinping suggests that indeed that is the case.
Well, Mr. Roberts, many at this point are questioning how much of this is actually about national security or immigration and how much it is about political optics and silencing dissent on campus. But thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. We'll, of course, revert to you for regular updates. Meanwhile, the US president has said that Russia and Ukraine may need to fight for a while to assist efforts to bring peace, likening the two countries to bickering and fighting children. Trump was speaking alongside the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, who was visiting the White House, and Trump said, and I quote, that sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. Listen in. Right, I'm told that we will line up that reaction for you, but for now, let's turn our attention to the other big, crucial Donald Trump headline. Trump and Xi Jinping have opened the line of communication. Donald Trump and Xi Jinping talked and agreed to talk some more, and the US president said that he and Xi cleared up disputes on rare earths exports during a call and that he accepted China's invitation to visit. Beijing says it's complied with tariff truce and that Trump welcomed Chinese students to study in the US, as you just heard from the US president in that reaction to a reporter's question. But for now, the tensions are still showing up in the data. I must highlight for you that the US trade deficit shrank 55.5% in April, month over month, on the largest ever plunge in imports as companies stopped massive front-loading of goods. And speaking of hogging the global spotlight, well, another Trump headline, because Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is secretly holding direct talks with the US president to work out a framework for a trade and security agreement, the Globe and Mail is reporting. You must note that the talks between the leaders and top cabinet ministers are being held discreetly to ensure a positive outcome. This is what the report highlights, citing the US ambassador to Canada. Maha Siddiqui has been tracking all the finer developments for us. She joins us live from Vancouver at the moment. Maha, so we're given to understand, as per local media, that Canada's Mr. Carney and Trump are holding secret talks on trade and security?
Well, certainly the details of the conversation between Mark Carney and President Trump are being kept under the wraps. And both these leaders are holding direct talks, is what's coming through by way of some sources which are being quoted by the Canadian media, as well as Melanie Joly, the industry minister, has said that these negotiations are not going to happen in public. And we do know through the US ambassador to Canada, he's also spoken out and has indicated that the negotiations are taking place at the topmost level, which means that both these leaders are directly talking to each other. Some other information that is coming through suggests that they have been holding calls in the evenings and also been exchanging text messages as well. And as many people had already said, many experts were pointing out that tariffs are being used by President Trump as a negotiating tool it appears to be turning out exactly that way, because it appears now, and as per the reports that are coming through, is that a trade agreement may be reached between Canada and the United States ahead of the G7 summit that is being hosted by Canada in the province of Alberta, for which President Trump is traveling to Canada, and that tariffs against Canada could be dropped as this agreement comes through. So clearly, the trade tactic of President Trump seems to have been working with not just Canada, but as we are seeing with some other countries as well. So trade being used as a negotiating tool appears to be working at this moment in favor of the United States.
Well, thank you so much, as always, Maha, for joining us with the latest information. Well, moving on to other news, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor, who is in the United States leading the all-party delegation, was asked a question by his son, Ishan, about Pakistan's involvement in the Pahalgam terror attack. Ishan Tharoor asked whether any country had asked the delegation led by his father for evidence of Pakistan's involvement in the deadly Pahalgam terrorist attack on the 22nd of April that killed 26 people, mostly tourists. He also asked about Pakistan's consistent denial of its involvement in that attack. And to this, here's what Shashi Tharoor said.
There were three particular reasons I want to draw your attention to, all of you. The first is that we've had a 37-year pattern of repeated terror attacks from Pakistan, accompanied by repeated denials. I mean, Americans haven't forgotten that Pakistan didn't know, allegedly, where Osama bin Laden was until he was found in a Pakistani safe house right next to an army camp in a cantonment city. That's Pakistan. Mumbai attacks, they denied having anything to do with it. One of the terrorists was captured alive, his name, his identity, his address in Pakistan. Everything was revealed. Under interrogation, he told us where he was trained, what was done.
Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Hello and welcome. We have a very special guest with us here today on the NDTV network for an exclusive interview. It's the Second Lady of the United States, Ms. Usha Vance. Ms. Vance, NDTV की दर्शकों की तरफ से आपको नमस्कार. You know, there's a lot of curiosity about what's going on in your kitchen. Everyone is most interested because the Vice President himself has said that he was a meat and potatoes man until he met you, and then your mother taught him how to cook. So now everyone wants to know, what is it that he cooks for you?
Well, he's very experimental. He'll try anything. So he's done everything from chana masala to, has been making a specialty of desserts recently. So our children especially enjoy that.
In your home, what does a traditional Indian meal look like?
Well, my family is from Andhra Pradesh. And
they have the most amazing cuisine.
Yes, I think so. Although we've been enjoying the food of other areas as well while we're here. So my mother and grandmother are both excellent cooks. And my father, too, actually makes very good dosa, pasaratu, things like that. So, I mean, I think it looks exactly like what you might imagine. You know, sometimes it's very simple and it's sambar and rice and some sort of kura. Sometimes it's a little more complicated and my mom pulls out all the stops and makes pulao or something, or a few dishes. But It's a vegetarian household, so that usually defines it.
And the Andhra cuisine is famous for its chutneys. Do you manage to get all the ingredients together there?
I am not a preparer of chutneys, but my grandmother makes wonderful chutneys, and I think she manages to figure it all out. She gets the ingredients at the Indian stores near us.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, there was something else that I was reading about you, and the fact that at your wedding, you had a traditional Indian ceremony and you also had a traditional American ceremony. And it's a beautiful metaphor for the way people across the globe are coming together culturally. And was that very important to you?
Well, it was very important. We got married in Kentucky, which is the state where my husband's family was from, but we had so many people fly from all over the world, including India. And so both our guest list and the ceremonies were sort of a representation of our very different backgrounds coming together. And you know, my parents, of course, were married in a traditional Hindu ceremony. And so when I imagined weddings and what that might look like, I imagined the pictures that I'd seen of them.
But what did you and the Vice President like, especially at the Amer Fort?
Well, I mean, obviously the architecture is spectacular, and we really enjoyed seeing the mix of cultures that were brought in when they were building it in the first instance. So you see the Persian influence, and of course you see elements of Hinduism with the lotus references, and it was just a really interesting representation of the position that the Mughal Empire had at the time and the way that they were sort of projecting themselves. So it was a fascinating study in history.
Very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vada. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including the bromance that's over between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Elon Musk has suggested that Donald Trump be impeached because he is in the Epstein files. That's the reason why those files haven't been made public. He's also gone on to say it's JD Vance who should be replacing him. And without Elon Musk, Donald Trump would have not even won the election in the United States. And of course, Donald Trump has gone on to say that Elon Musk has gone crazy because he asked him to leave and remove that mandate as far as EV vehicles are concerned. We'll get you all the details. First, let's get you the headlines. The gloves are off. A big turn of events. This is a dramatic turn of events after being inseparable. The bromance is over between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Well, it is Elon Musk who's gone on to say that Donald Trump would have never won the elections had it not been for him, and is also suggesting that JD Vance replace him and that Donald Trump be impeached because he was in the Epstein files. And the share of Tesla has tanked this morning as Trump and Musk ties implode. Well, it is Tesla that's lost out about $152 billion in market cap. And it's Sitaramaya versus the RCB. Well, after top police officials have been suspended, a one-member commission has been formed to probe the stampede during the IPL victory celebration event of the RCB team. Now action can be taken against the Royal Challengers Bengaluru as well. Now, this is the tallest railway bridge that's going to be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi today. He's also going to be flagging off the Vande Bharat train between Katra and Srinagar. Let's get to your top story, and that is the bromance between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That is over in a dramatic turn of events. Elon Musk and Trump have turned on each other in a bitter and ugly public feud. Musk has gone on to say that without him, Donald Trump would have not even won the elections. This is after months of being inseparable, praising each other highly, to disagreements over Republicans' spending bill that quickly turned personal. Trump says Musk has gone crazy as he was asked to leave by Trump. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted.
Well, look, you know, I've always liked Elon, and I was very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, the words of, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat Trump was right about everything, and I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Well, a very public bromance breakup playing out on social media during the course of the day here in Washington, D.C., during which we've seen both Donald Trump and Elon Musk throw around insults, threats, accusations, all of them on their respective social media sites. It started earlier in the day on Thursday when Donald Trump in the Oval Office was asked about Elon Musk, who he has, of course, been working very closely with during his first 4 or so months in office. But Donald Trump said that his relationship with him seems now to have changed. That after Elon Musk criticised his signature legislation that he's trying to push through Congress, a massive spending bill that would involve tax cuts as well. But Elon Musk says that it is an abomination, that it would undo much of the cost-cutting work that he did when he was heading up the Department of Government Efficiency. There is a suggestion from a non-partisan group that Donald Trump's legislation would add more than $2.4 trillion of US debt over the next 10 years. And then during the course of the day, we just saw all of this escalate, going from bad to worse to even worse. Donald Trump on social media saying that Elon Musk was crazy, with Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump would not have won the election without him, and saying that the president was showing such ingratitude now. And then things seemed to amp up a notch when Donald Trump suggested that he would cancel all of the government contracts.
And Elon Musk has publicly agreed that US President Donald Trump should be impeached and Vice President JD Vance should be the one replacing him, saying that he is the one who is in the Epstein files, and that's the reason why the files haven't been made public. This is a bitter breakup between the two. This is a spat between the friends who've now turned foes that spiraled, with both billionaires targeting each other openly. Elon Musk decided to drop the bombshell on his social media site X, claiming that US President is in the Epstein files. It is due to that very reason that details and findings of the investigation have not been made public. Let's listen into what Donald Trump has to say about this. He guessed that Elon Musk will get personal, something that he put out on his social media site, Truth.
A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know.
And to know more on this, we have with us James Borden, who's joining us. Thank you for speaking with us early this morning. You know, the bromance is over. The two billionaires are acting like brats, literally like teenagers, taking pot shots at each other, getting extremely personal. Take us through the revelations that have been made on the social media sites, and how much truth is there to it, or is this just shock value and both of them really trying to get attention here?
I think that right now, a lot of what you're seeing, there's so many things going on. I have been watching this, and we must remember that Elon Musk is an Asperger's syndrome, and he, in that case, will go after a lot of people in a very vicious way. We've seen him go after other people in this type of way. So I think that, you know, in his case, he runs very hot, very cold. He's either very for you or very against you. And so the personal nature of this fight is really because of that aspect of him. And so Donald Trump is retaliating, and I think that we will actually see a lot worse come down the pike probably over the next 2 days and definitely over the next week or two.
Donald Trump would have not even won the election. Take us through the role that Elon Musk has played through the elections and even post-elections. They were inseparable for the longest time.
Oh, they definitely were. And I do think that Elon definitely did boost Donald Trump. We know that he invested a significant amount of money in his campaign, especially after the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. And he brought a lot of people to Trump who probably would not have voted for him normally, a lot of the tech groupies. And I think that that's going to have a real repercussion down the road.
Right. Let's also, talk about the Epstein files, and if you could elaborate on that, because the bombshell that Elon Musk has dropped is that Donald Trump was on those files, in those files, and which is the reason why they haven't been made public yet.
Well, this is an old claim. This is something that was stated, I think, as far back as Trump's first administration, and so it's not something that has really gained a lot of traction, especially in the MAGA media. They have been trying to keep that down, and yet there's a lot of people during the Biden years that have wanted to have the Epstein files released, and they haven't been. It will be interesting to see if those files do get released. Epstein represents a very big issue with a lot of people, and for other people, not an issue at all. And if Trump is in those files, it's unclear whether he would suffer an impeachment process. I mean, if the charges are serious enough, he probably would, but it would take a lot of Republican senators and congressmen to significantly move us towards that process.
Right, and of course, Elon Musk suggesting that he should be impeached because he's in those files. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast this morning. Let's also talk about the impact that this feud is going to be having on, all across the world. We're seeing the impact, and it's being felt particularly as far as the Tesla shares are concerned. The Tesla shares have tanked this morning over a 14% loss. We're talking about a loss that is to the tune of $152 billion in market cap. So the investors sold off shares as far as Tesla is concerned, as tensions erupted between Elon Musk and US President. Shares in the electric car company dropped 14%, wiping out roughly $152 billion in market value in one of the worst days in months. The losses were an indication of what might be at stake for Elon Musk as he breaks up with Donald Trump. Let's just get you more details on what is it that we can expect and the repercussions of this fallout, this breakup between the two billionaires. Sakshi joining us. Sakshi, take us through the impact that has already been felt, and Tesla taking a big hit there.
The world's most powerful man and the world's richest man, both coming after each other, and this of course has rattled investors. So really not company fundamentals at play here. It is of course this public spat spiraling now, and of course, as our colleague was explaining, the implications that this could have on the US economy, key decisions, key policies really, is what is rattling investors. So we have seen a sharp slump there. We saw the Tesla shares close 14% lower, but remember in intraday trade they declined over 18%. So really sharp declines there. The single largest ever decline that the shares have witnessed, and of course investors are waiting and watching for more.
Right. Thank you so much, Sakshi, for getting us all those details. Now, let's also get you this Trump-Musk fallout has no effect as far as Subhanshu Shukla's mission is concerned. The astronaut is set for historic space journey that's going to be taking off on the 10th of this month. The seat for Shukla on the spacecraft group captain piloting the mission to this is going to be taking place on the 10th, like I mentioned. To know more details, we have Pallav Bagla joining us. Pallav, thankfully, no impact as far as Subhanshu Shukla's mission is concerned. Get us details as to why is it that we're seeing that little delay day on day as far as that mission is concerned.
The delay, we have already announced that it has been postponed from June 8th to June 10th. But right now, the big update I have is that the spat which is happening between President Donald Trump and SpaceX founder Elon Musk will not have any impact on the Axiom 4 mission. And one should remember that the Axiom 4 mission on which Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla will fly to space is using a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and a Crew Dragon. And Elon Musk had tweeted saying that with immediate effect, the Crew Dragon decommissioning will start. but sources at Axiom Space in Houston have told me that for this immediate mission, which is happening in 4 days' time, there should be no impact. And Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla's mission to space is going to continue as it is. So as of now, Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla is in quarantine, is healthy, and all the 4 crew members are healthy, and they are preparing for the launch on June 10th at 5:52 p.m. India time. So Axiom 4 mission, which is sometimes also called Mission Akash Ganga, is unaffected because of this spat between President Donald Trump and SpaceX founder Elon Musk.
Right, of course, not swept by emotion at all at this moment, but rooted in precision. Subhanshu Shukla is in quarantine, like you mentioned, and is really excited and looking forward to taking off on the 10th of June. You know, you spoke with him. Get us details of what he really has to say about this journey.
Well, Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla is a test pilot, a IAF fighter pilot. And when I spoke to him, he was very calm, he was very patient, and he said he was very confident of undertaking this mission. It will be a 14-day mission to the International Space Station, and he will conduct some scientific experiments. But more than that, this is really a stepping stone for India's Gaganyaan program, which is India's own human space flight program. So which takes off with Gaganyaan sending a human from Sriharikota, then the Bharatiya Antariksh Station by 2035, and sending a human to the moon by 2040. So Subhanshu Shukla is taking the first baby steps for India's massive Gaganyaan program. And this is now progressing normally, despite the spat between President Donald Trump and SpaceX founder Elon Musk, because Group Captain Shukla is using both assets from SpaceX.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, Pallab Bagla there. We will keep coming back to you for more on that. Moving on now to Karnataka, and it's the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah who's under attack from the BJP over the stampede in Bengaluru at the felicitation ceremony. Now, action has been taken against the top police officials. We're talking about the police commissioner and his deputy that have been suspended, and the next step will be against the RCB team, the Karnataka State Cricket Association, and their publicist. As far as the entertainment company is also concerned, the event management company is also coming under the scanner. Well, it is Siddaramaiah who's gone on to say in a press conference that that's the announcement that has been made, that action is being taken against the top police officials. But the next action will be taken against those responsible as well, and that would include the RCB team. So the RCB team had apparently disregarded the police advice to allow a few more days to prepare for the felicitation ceremony, according to sources. In fact, they'd gone on to say that the international players had to go back, considering that IPL had been postponed in the first place because of Operation Sindoor, and which is why they were in a rush and a hurry to have that felicitation ceremony, something that the government is now pointing fingers at the team of the Royal Challengers Bengaluru.
The Cabinet has taken a decision to suspend Deputy Commissioner of Police, Assistant Commissioner of Police and CPI, and Additional Commissioner of Police and Additional Commissioner of Police, and who is in charge of the stadium, and Commissioner of Police of Bangalore City.
We have Deepak and Radhika joining us from Bengaluru to get us the very latest. Deepak, over to you first. The government has gone on to say that the chief of the RCB team had informed the city police about holding this victory parade, about holding this celebration, but the Office of the Police Commissioner had failed to give written reply, rejecting the permission on grounds of lack of time to prepare for such a huge event. And yet it is the police that's, taking the brunt and taking the blame for all of this. Deepak? Deepak joining us as well. Radhika?
Well, I'm just getting some, updates
Right, go ahead.
I'm just getting some updates now that there are 4 people who've been arrested already. This is a big crackdown coming early this morning because the Chief Minister last night itself had announced that there are multiple people who could be taken into custody because of this. We saw action against top police officers, including the Commissioner of Bengaluru, the Additional Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioner, the Assistant Commissioner, the Inspector. Now I'm told 1 person from the RCB management, 3 people from the DNA management have been picked up. This is a big news that's coming in early this morning. And as we continue to, of course, track this development, we should note that all of them will be questioned now about them putting out that social media post in particular about RCB social media handles calling for a victory parade without discussions with the police, without approvals and permissions from the police. So that's another big news that we can take. And more importantly, I'm trying to get information as to who these individuals are from DNA and RCB who've been taken into custody.
Right, this is breaking news coming in regard to 4 people who have been arrested, and you know, Deepak, like you are mentioning, 3 from DNA and 1 from RCB. Let's also go across to Radhika. Radhika, arrests are being made. 3 from the event management company have been held, and 1 from the RCB team. You know, if you have any details of the people who have been arrested, particularly from the RCB team.
That's right. That's the news broken by Deepak Bopanna. 4 people have been arrested in connection to the case. We believe that 3 are from DNA. DNA is, of course, the event management company, event organizers. So 3 people in connection to DNA have been arrested, and 1 from RCB. Not entirely sure who those people are. Of course, we will await official confirmation from the police here. But what we can confirm to our viewers is that 4 people in connection to the event management company as well as RCB have been arrested. Remember, Karnataka Cricket Association has also been named in the FIR. So there is a possibility that somebody from Cricket Association may also be arrested. This is an assurance that was given by the Chief Minister yesterday. Yesterday, of course, multiple action had been taken in terms of the FIR as well as suspension of police officials, and at that time, post the cabinet meeting, the Chief Minister had assured that arrests will be made soon, and that is what we are saying. Of course, a crackdown on RCB, crackdown on event organizers by the state government. The big question, however, remains: why is nobody from the political leadership? Why were they not named in the FIR, and why no action against them? And why no arrest will take place since they've not been named in the FIR. But certainly this is state government versus RCB, state government versus the event organizers at this point. And 4 people at this point have been arrested. Who are those people? The names and designation is something we are awaiting. But 3 from DNA, which is the event management company, and 1 from RCB. Deepak is, of course, breaking all the information for us. In fact, he is also giving us names of all of these individuals as well. Let's go back to Deepak to get more information.
Right, Radhika, of course, this is what Siddaramaiah yesterday went on to say, that action will be taken against the Cricket Association of Karnataka. Also, action will be taken against the event management company and the team of RCB. And that is what really is playing out early this morning. We are seeing those arrests that have taken place. 4 in all, like you mentioned, 3 from the event management company, 1 from the Royal Challengers Bengaluru team. And also, you know, this really comes at a time when the action that, you know, the government has taken initially is against the police. And do remember, it's the police that has been flagging concerns. So, you know, from the very onset, they said that not to have that victory parade. They're the ones who went on to say do not have the felicitation ceremony on the steps of the Vidhan Sauda. They went on to say they're not really prepared and they need more time, and which is why they went on to say that the event should really take place on Sunday instead of the very next day. So the police here has really been flagging concerns, but of course the government pushing the blame onto the police and taking action against the top officials when it comes to the police force in Karnataka, including the commissioner and the deputy commissioner there. You know, we, of course, Radhika, many would argue that the police really did flag concerns, and now the action is being taken against the police. And, you know, of course, the government is saying that one by one they will hold the people accountable. And they, of course, that inquiry has also, you know, it has been announced by Siddaramaiah in this particular case. Radhika, get us up to speed on the health of those who have, you know, who are taken to the hospital. Has everyone been discharged? And also in regard to the families, how are they reacting to the action that the government has taken?
Of course,
families want action, not just against the organizers or against the RCB, but against state government officials, against the cops as well. We know for a fact that cops were not in great numbers. Their deployment was not as much. But as per the FIR, if we were to go back to the FIR very categorically mentions that the cops, that the Karnataka police had suggested, had recommended the state government to not go with this particular event as it was being done in short notice. The FIR also talks about how RCB had done that unauthorized publicity of the event on social media. Just ahead of the event, they had given the publicity, asking people to join in large numbers for the felicitation ceremony. This is what led to chaos. This is what led to a lot of people turning up, and there was no permission to put out that social media post. And cops are also going on to say that they were under pressure. Several within the Karnataka police, the sources within police saying, very categorically mentioning that they were under pressure to hold that event despite them recommending against it. But state government has gone ahead and taken action against several top cops. The top cop, the commissioner of police of Bengaluru, has been suspended. So has the additional commissioner of police, DCP, as well as several other top officials in this particular region. They have been suspended. So at least about 6 top police officials have been suspended. Yes, there is a one-man commission that will look into the probe. There is a magisterial inquiry happening. But now, of course, the breaking story at this point is that 4 people, at least 4 people, have been arrested by the police. Nobody from the political leadership have been named in the FIR. In the FIR, it names RCB, it names Karnataka Cricket Association. The FIR names the event organizers, which is the DNA. 3 people from DNA have been arrested is what we are being told. This is what Deepak is breaking for us. And a 4th person who is connected to RCB. Now, Deepak is, of course, breaking the information of the details and names of these individuals as well, which include Sunil Matthew, Vice President DNA, Nikhil, who is the RCB management, and Kiran from DNA. These are the people who have been arrested, is
Radhika.
what